After 28 years, we have a sequel to Twister, so let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Let me know, what did you think about Twisters, and have you seen the original? What's your point of reference going into the new one? As for me, I was like the perfect age when the original Twister came out. It was just one of those fun disaster movies that everybody saw it when it came out. I even had the soundtrack to it. It had a couple awesome songs on there from Van Halen and the Goo Goo Dolls. And so I've always had very fond memories of the film. It's never been like a personal favorite or anything, but one I've always had fun with. When they said they were doing a sequel, remake, reboot, whatever it was, I was actually really nervous. I was like, I don't need an updated Twister for modern audiences or anything like that. But then the trailer dropped and it felt like it just captured the vibe of the original film, and I was like, hey, this thing might end up working. So I went in actually very excited to check it out. It stars my close personal friend, Glen Powell, who I've only spoken to for 30 seconds. What did I think about it? Let's get started with the good. And I thought that this was just a really fun summer blockbuster that absolutely captured the vibe and the magic of the original. It didn't seem like it needed to fix things, update things. It did what a good sequel does. It's more of what you love about the first film, but it also changes things up just enough that it feels fresh, new, and original at the same time. Now, at its core, it's kind of the same structure where it's about a lead character who has an emotional attachment to something relating to tornadoes. There's some science mumbo jumbo that they're trying to overcome. Take those ingredients and you just set us off on an adventure, chasing tornadoes, having fun, but also still having a heart. And at the core of that is they found just the right blend of characters, motivations, to where you can have the fun, the ridiculousness of people that chase tornadoes and drive trucks into tornadoes, but also take it just serious enough, have just enough humanity to it where you actually kind of feel the personal stakes and you care about the characters. Other thing that I think it does really well in the construction of its story, it kind of takes your expectations going into it based off the first movie and how there's kind of two different teams of storm chasers and who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, what's their motivations and everything that they're doing. And it's not complex. It's not like this is a very sophisticated film. It's about people driving towards tornadoes and not dying. But it adds just a couple of layers into it, just a couple twists, turns, reveals about motivations, about what's really going on to keep it interesting. And they tie together the personal stakes and the science mumbo jumbo enough that you can get to a third act where you're afraid that characters are going to die, you care about the outcome of what they're trying to do, and it means something. It has significance for them as individuals and in the grander picture of the world of Twister if they're able to succeed in what they're trying to do. So you feel satisfaction. You feel a big emotional release at the end in a bunch of different ways. Of course, it's a disaster movie. You got to talk about all the tornado carnage and chaos, and there's plenty of it here. Movie does a nice job of going back and forth between tornadoes are dangerous and tornadoes are fun. It starts off with a sequence that has our characters treating tornadoes like they're fun little science projects to explore, and it very quickly shifts into this terrifying situation, which establishes the tone for the film, that these things that these characters are playing around with for fun or science can turn really bad very quickly. And that it's just enough edge throughout the entire movie. It makes stakes for the rest of the movie that feel consistent. You feel the sense of danger because we've seen what a tornado can do to people and the lingering consequences even for the survivors. But other thing it does is it goes, all right, we want to have all the chaos destruction that was in the first movie, but we don't want to just repeat the things that you saw in the last one. So it kind of plays out what are different scenarios that you could have, what are interesting things that tornadoes might do, what are different science experiments the characters might be trying to do, and it plays it all out in different scenarios, so it's more of the same, but it's also very different, bigger, exaggerated in other senses because technology allows us to do more things these days. The other thing Twister's known for is its lively set of characters, and we get another lively set of characters here. Now, of course, the big name going into this movie is Glen Powell, as he's kind of the actor that Hollywood has chosen to try and launch into the big leagues this year, and it looks like he's going to succeed at it. So he plays our tornado wrangler. He's a YouTuber, so I have never felt so seen and represented in cinema before as this person that went to the same high school as me, plays someone in the exact same profession as I am in. YouTuber. There's no differences between what his character does in this movie and what I do on a day-to-day basis, besides the fact that I film safely in my room and he drives a truck into tornadoes. But I felt represented nonetheless. Anyway, oozes movie star charisma. Just, he's so charming, and because his character in the movie is a YouTuber that has this big flashy persona that's trying to play the rock star and rile up crowds, and he's presenting to an audience, it's primed for him to just do very showy, charismatic, the big grins, all of that stuff all the time, because the character is in the zone all of the time. And then it pauses just enough to have the character moments, and you see the humanity of him when the cameras aren't rolling for his YouTube channel, but just does a great job. Looks like he's going to have a very, very good year this year. But it's not just him. The whole set of characters are pretty fun. His whole crew, all of them have these big, wild personalities. His side man in there that's always shooting rockets off with their truck is a lot of fun. The surprise one I wasn't expecting, there's a reporter character that is tagging along, and he's like low-key one of my favorite characters in the movie because of the way that they handled him and the way that he's treated and the way that he responds to everything kind of going on all throughout it. It was just like, yeah, I think he picked all the right notes for that character in this movie. One thing I thought was interesting is the actor that's going to play Superman in Superman next year. He's one of the scientists in the film that's kind of like the straight man, that's the serious guy, that he's not there for the fun he's there for the job. And his character as written is like the most opposite of a Clark Kent Superman that you can get. And so it's fascinating to just see him play someone that is like so devoid of like compassion and humanity when his next big role is going to play Superman, the hero of all heroes. So I took my wife to the press screening to see it, and as soon as it ended, she turned to me and she said, "Oh, I loved it. That was a blast." And that's what you want from a summer blockbuster like this. A movie that makes you care about the characters. It has some heart to it. It has emotion. You feel the stakes. The chaos puts you on the edge of your seat. But it's also just a lot of fun and a great date night movie. So I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Today's video is brought to you by Factor. We are deep into the summer. Here in Texas, it's over 100 degrees every single day, and you can fuel up for those warm summer days with no prep, no mess meals from Factor. You can meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. I'm a high-protein, low-carb kind of guy, so I usually go for Keto or Protein Plus. Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals are dietitian-approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes, so no matter how busy you are, you always have time to enjoy a nutritious, great-tasting meal. With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. I personally like to kick off my days with their protein shakes. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Head to factormeals.com/SeanChandler50 and use code SeanChandler50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code SeanChandler50 at factormeals.com/SeanChandler50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. There's a few more things to talk about here, so let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film. And this isn't a good or a bad thing. This is just the big question that everybody asks with a movie like this. Do you need to have seen the original Twister to understand Twisters? No. This is a standalone follow-up in continuity to the original film. There are Easter eggs tying the two films, just little things that you'll notice if you've seen the original one, but there's no overlapping characters or plot points. There's only Easter eggs connecting them together. It's the same type of story, but it's a totally new story. It's a new set of characters. It's not retelling the same story. It's a new story, so it is a follow-up. It's not a remake, but it has no meaningful connections to the original film besides the tone, the vibe, the type of film being told. From there, let's move on to the bad. And like the original Twister, it's a dumb movie filled with a lot of scientific mumbo-jumbo. If you thought the first Twister was dumb and stupid and not worth your time, this one's probably not going to win you over. It has its own insanity to it where people drive trucks into tornadoes and they have some excuse for why they're able to do this, but anyone with common sense would go, no, there's 1,000 reasons that wouldn't work. Like, you'd be dead anyway. So you have to be able to suspend all of that disbelief and just go along with the movie's logic of tornadoes are dangerous in these circumstances, but hey, they're fun in these circumstances. You just have to be able to play that game to enjoy this film. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's not taking the genre to new places. It's doing more of what the first movie did. It's a movie that knows exactly what it is, a dumb disaster movie, a dumb blockbuster. And so if that's not your thing, if you're going to be annoyed by lapses in scientific logic, inconsistencies in how tornadoes work and what is survivable and not, it's not going to be the movie for you. It stays firmly in its box. It doesn't try to transcend the genre. It's not trying to reinvent the genre. It's not trying to be bigger than the genre. It sticks to the formula. That's exactly why it succeeds, but also it's a limitation on how great it can be and who its audience is for, though obviously a big blockbuster has a pretty wide audience. Overall, I got exactly what I wanted out of this film. It's a fun summer blockbuster with characters that you like, that keeps you on the edge of your seat. It has just enough heart to it. Yeah, it's dumb, but it's my kind of dumb. And it's a movie that delivered more of what I loved about the original, but it found a way to kind of fiddle around with it just enough to make it interesting and different and original in its own way. So for me, an absolute success. Overall, it's an A- on the entertainment scale, an 8.5 out of 10. And yeah, go see this one on the biggest screen you can if you like big, dumb disaster movies. Let me know what you thought about it down below in the comment section. Hey, thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.